And today on the Pam Powell Show, we'll hear from couples involved in interracial relationships.
Does he ever call you the N-word?
Hear about the challenges involved in maintaining an interracial relationship.
We're going into the restaurants and people staring at us.
Plus, we hit the streets to hear what you had to say about interracial relationships.
You ever been involved in an interracial relationship?
I have.
Really?
Yes.
All today on the Pam Powell Show.
Welcome to the Pam Powell Show. Today on the Pam Powell Show, we're going to be talking about stop hating. Have you been involved in an interracial relationship? Do you go into restaurants and folks stare you down as if you're like coming from Mars? Are you sick and tired of being sick and tired of people just turning their backs on you, friends walking away from you, families not inviting you over for dinner? Well, we're going to talk today about stop hating on the Pam Powell Show. You stay tuned. Welcome to the Pam Powell Show. Call your neighbors, call your friends, and tell them to tune in because the Pam Powell Show is back on again. And today, we have a special show. We're going to be talking about stop hating. That's right, interracial relationships, stop hating. Today, our special guests are Chris Kalinowski and Nina Patterson, and we're going to be talking about interracial relationships. Welcome to the show, Nina.
Hi.
How are you? How about you, Chris?
Good.
All right. Now, I understand you guys are involved in a relationship, and it's been a couple years. And so we want to hear about the good, the bad, and the ugly, because there's so many situations that are involved in these type of relationships. You walk into a restaurant, people kind of look at you funny, family members act different, you lose friends. I mean, all kind of things happen, you know, with those kind of relationships. So we want to talk about that today. Is that all right with you?
Yes.
Because on the Pam Powell Show, we get the 411. Okay, so Nina, tell me, what are some of the issues that you face or have faced in your 2-year relationship?
One of my biggest issues is lack of understanding from his family, or sensitivity more so than understanding. You know, certain jokes are made, or...
Jokes? Oh, give me an example. What kind of joke? I mean, when you say that, you're saying you're around his family and that people just start making jokes about you as an African American, or what?
No, when Denny's had their, you know, get a meal free day, his father made reference, well, I can get in and I'll be in and out, but you'll have to wait, you know, 2 hours. And he was referencing Denny's history of racism. And, you know, I just didn't find that amusing, and he didn't understand why I didn't think that was funny. Okay.
And what other things are happening that kind of get you pretty uptight?
Well, it was really fun for the Obama election.
Okay.
Coming up, so there was opposite sides there, and that debate kind of got heated between myself and his mother and father. I mean, some of it was in jest, and some of it kind of was a little...
So you caught, so in that, you felt that it was all because of the color of your skin?
Well, I mean, it was also, you know, Democrat, Republican, but yeah, to some degree, there were some jokes made. I said, you know, I saw a picture of Obama and Michelle holding each other, and I said, oh, they look like such a loving couple. And his mother said, oh, you know he beats her.
Oh, my God, just automatically because they're African American, they thought that he would be beating her.
I mean, I might be making an assumption on her about her, but it seemed that...
That's what you felt?
Yeah, that's more than likely where it came from, even if it wasn't intentional.
Right, and that's what you felt, and that's where the stereotyping comes in when we deal with races and cultures. What's your thought on this, Chris? How do you feel about the whole deal?
It bothers me when I walk into public and people are staring and looking at us. It's a little... Really kind of hurts your feeling?
Yeah. What has been the most bizarre thing that you felt has ever happened to you all, as you're dating in this relationship?
Dating. It'd probably be... that would probably be it, just the staring and the staring.
People, so when you go in the restaurant, you just get all uncomfortable and everything?
Not just restaurants, but everywhere.
Everywhere. Everywhere you go, people still stare. So even though we have an African-American president, people are more understanding of the racial issues in America. Obviously, as everyone is saying, it still really exists. I mean, and what, like, when you're sitting there, let's say you're in a restaurant and everybody's staring, how do you feel? I mean, how does that make you feel?
Uncomfortable. But can't hide love.
Can't hide love. I like that. So it makes you feel uncomfortable, but you guys are committed to each other. How did you get the conversation going? Because it's always been an interest. Like, you know, how does one get the conversation going when you know that there's problems with racial issues, but yet you see this black female and she looks like somebody you want to talk to? How do you just break down and just go through that scenario to make a date with her? How did you do it?
Persistent, I guess.
Persistent.
Yeah.
So you guys were in school together. How did it work? Tell me about it. I want to know how y'all got together.
I was, actually, she was a server at a restaurant, and I came in, and she was my server a couple times because she does the overnight.
Okay.
So I came in, I kept talking, trying to talk to her, and so.
So right up front, there was no issue on your behalf. I mean, you were okay. Had you dated black women before?
No.
So this was your first, so you didn't look at her as color. It was just something about, what was that something about her?
Well, she had dreads at the time, and I really liked that, so it was different.
And so you grew up in school where you were around cultures, all cultures. Yes. So have you ever been prejudiced in your life?
I don't believe so.
Okay. But the acceptance of her just came automatically. So what happened when you took her home to see your parents?
It was a shock at first, because the age difference, and then, well, yeah, she's also black, so
it was a shock.
It was a shock.
Okay, so tell me about the shock. When you walked in to meet the parents, and the shock factor was there in full gear, how did they treat you? What did you see? How did you know they were in shock?
His father was like...
You mean he actually acted startled?
Yeah, not startled. He was just, I mean, I knew his father. He used to come in with his father. So when his father met me, he was familiar with me. But to see me at his front door was just kind of, he was taken back for a minute. And,
wow.
Yeah. And I'm not going to say that it was necessarily because I'm black, but it just might have shocked, okay, she's older. I turned him down like about 3 times. But he, like he said, he was very persistent. But, yeah, I think that there was a lot of factors, but I'm sure the fact, okay, my son's dating a black woman, okay.
So what about you, though? Have you dated, did you date outside of your race before this was the first deal? So when this gentleman came at you to want to date, how did that make you feel? Did you feel like, oh, you know, this isn't going to work, so he needs to just shut up and not even try to talk to me? Or how did you react to that? Were you flattered by it, or were you intrigued by it, or were you puzzled by it?
I thought it was a very sweet gesture in the beginning. But I've never really, he was very persistent, like you said, and I thought that, you know, I'm going to give him a shot because, you know, you have men that come and they try to talk to you and they're just vulgar. And he was not vulgar at that time.
Hold up. At that time, okay. Does that mean that sometimes it gets a little rough? I want to know, when you all get upset with one another, does he ever call you the N-word?
Oh, no.
Never?
No.
And you never call him the C-word?
I wish I could say that.
So in other words, how do you feel that the key to your communication, how do you feel, you know, when you're discussing things, whether it's food or clothing or whatever? I mean, we all have different cultures, so we have different things. So if you put this outfit on, does he go and say, oh, that's a little bit too black or whatever? You put something on, he says, oh, that's a little bit too white. I mean, how does that work?
Surprisingly, the issue is food.
Food?
Yes.
He doesn't like soul food?
His parents are, you know, he comes from Polish and Greek background, and their Greek food is somewhat a lot of flavor and spices, but nothing like my grandma's anything. You know, so to get him to eat some of the stuff, he was just immediately a pot roast. He was like, I
don't eat that.
Yeah, I was like, you can eat. It's just meat.
Right. So how did you win him over?
My grandma can cook.
Okay. So grandma fixed the food and you enjoyed it, right?
Absolutely.
So you are now enjoying soul food over there?
Some of them, yeah.
Yeah, some of it, right? And you have to get used to his food as well, right?
Yeah, I can handle that.
When I look at life, I mean, even my jacket, you know, check my jacket out. I'm wearing black and white. I mean, I believe that looks pretty good. How y'all feel about it? I just want to say, can't we just all get along? I mean, you look at zebras, they're black and white, they're beautiful. Ebony and ivory, come on, we got to just get along and stop hating. And we're going to take a break right now as we get ready for our next guest. Don't you touch the dial. It's going to get hot on the Pam Powell Show, because we want to make sure everybody knows that we just need to stop hating. We'll be right back. Stay tuned.
When African Americans and whites marry, there is 2.65 times more likely to be an African American husband and a white wife. In fact, 73% of all African American and white marriages have this setup. Stay tuned for more of the Pam Powell Show after these messages. Be motivated and inspired as Pam Powell illustrates the power of the P factors. Start a new and wonderful life with the help of this amazing book. Order your copy of Pam Powell's book, The P Factor, today at www.pampowell.org. Pam Powell is also available for speaking engagements. Visit her website at pampowell.org.
Well, I tell you what, Pam Powell stops traffic on the Pam Powell Show. And right now, on the streets, we're talking to Heather about interracial relationships. Heather, welcome to the Pam Powell Show.
Thank you.
Have you ever been involved in an interracial relationship?
I have.
Really?
Yes.
And what's the good, the bad, and the ugly?
The good is a child. She's 5 years old. And the bad, there really isn't any. And the ugly, there really isn't any either.
All right. How do you get over people staring at you and all that stuff when you go places?
Well, you know, they look at him, they look at me, they look at him, they look at me, and then they look at her, and then they smile, and there's never been any prejudices.
Well, I tell you, that's an awesome story. Yep. They look at you, they look at your husband, and they look at the baby, and they smile. Yep. All right, that's on the Pam Powell Show, stopping traffic. Thank you, Heather.
You're welcome.
Love you. All right, listen, I'm having so much fun on the Pam Powell Stops the Traffic, and I just met a gentleman named Sham. Welcome to the Pam Powell Show, Sham. Now tell me, I understand you're involved in an interracial relationship.
Yes.
How's it going? What's happening with it?
Great. I'm married to a Guyanese and Puerto Rican woman.
Really?
Yes.
So do y'all have issues with that?
Not at all.
Really? That's wonderful, because that's a good perspective. So many people have issues with that. How long have you been dating or been involved in interracial relationships?
I've never discriminated.
All right.
I've dated out of my race several occasions, dated in my race. Either way, as long as she got pretty face, nice feet, I'm good to go.
All right, but tell me, what kind of issues have you had in interracial relationships? Do you find that there's a difference when you're with an Hispanic woman versus or Caucasian?
Well, with a Caucasian woman, I've dated several of them, and with that, you always get the stares.
Okay.
The jokes.
All right.
The why he with her.
Have you ever been involved in an interracial relationship?
Yes, yes.
Was it tough?
At first it was, because some of my old friends and things like that, they weren't used to it. You know, I guess it was something new, but it didn't matter to me.
So you take women in all flavors and all colors, or are you married now?
No, I'm not.
All right then, so you like them all?
Yes.
Come in any color?
Any color.
And you still date black women now?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
All right
yes.
now. Just want to know.
So totally against interracial dating, simply because there's only a few of our good men, and when they turn to the other color, they seem to forget all about us, which I know there are some beautiful, strong black men right here. If you can put the camera on them and let them know this is what it's all about.
Well, I feel as though if two people love each other, no matter what color that they are, you know, it should be all good. You know, it shouldn't be anything it really shouldn't be stereotyped, you know, amongst each other, regardless of color, you know. It doesn't matter. If you truly love someone, you know, go for it.
In the long run, it's about you and that female, or that female and that male. Everybody else always comes second. The house is built on y'all two, and everybody else comes second, so that's what I would say.
And you know what? That's what I'm saying again on the Pam Powell Show. We just need to stop hating. You with me on that?
I'm with you. Stop the hating.
All right.
Although interracial relationship issues receive much attention today, they've taken place in America since colonial times. In fact, America's first mulatto child was born in 1620. When slavery of blacks became institutionalized in the U.S., however, anti-miscegenation laws surfaced which banned such unions, thereby stigmatizing them. Considering that anti-miscegenation laws remained on the books in the U.S. until the latter half of the 20th century, it's no wonder that the stigma continues to enshrine interracial unions. Stay tuned for more of the Pam Powell Show after these messages.
Welcome back. I tell you what, this show, Stop Hating, has got me all juiced up, fired up, because you know what? We just got to get along in the world today. And I tell you, I heard one of my friends say that, you know, people come in all flavors, just like going to Baskin Robbins, you know. You get your strawberry, or you get your chocolate, or your butter pecan, or your lemon, whatever. We just need to get along and stop hating. But I'm excited about introducing our next couple, and I am so honored to meet you all and see you all, Randall Vanoy and Nadine Vanoy. Thank you. Welcome to the Pam Powell Show. Hi. And we wanted to bring you on this show because the other couple had only been together a couple years, but you all have been dealing with this for 10 long years. So we know that you're going to give us a lot of wisdom about interracial relationships. Well, so we want to start with you, Randall. Tell me, what have been some of the bizarre things, or I'd say ugly things, that you've gone through in this interracial relationship?
Well, some of the same things happened to us. That one, for one issue, is going into the restaurants and people staring at us. And when I first got married, it bothered me just a little bit. Okay. And, you know, I'm like, what are they doing? I mean, we're just having a casual dinner, and I almost feel like telling them sometimes, would you like to join us?
Mm-hmm. You know, it gets that annoying with folks staring.
Yeah, why don't you join us? Mm-hmm. And that was a little difficult for the first year, and you know, I'm like, oh wow, what is this? You know. And
well, did you ever have those times where you just wanted to walk out of the restaurant, and has there been times where you just walked out because it was so bad?
Some places are a little uncomfortable, and first couple of years I was married, and it used to bother me a little bit. Now it doesn't. I mean, it almost spoiled your appetite a little bit.
Wow.
You know,
I can imagine that. That must be real, you know, difficult going through that kind of a situation. Now, tell me, Nadine, what have been some things that have really gotten under your skin about this interracial relationship?
Well, it's just because, you know, really I'm not used to it, because growing up in the Bahamas, we don't see that. In other words, living there, we were all like one big...
You were all one big happy family.
Exactly. So once I came to America, and I realized that it is a difference.
Right. Had you ever dated another race before?
No. It's just that, but it, like I said, we grew up in the Bahamas, not seeing a difference.
I got you. So how did you end up in this relationship? How did y'all meet? What happened? What brought that on?
Well, I was at the Welcome, I work at the Welcome Center. Okay. Over in Lake Buena Vista, and I've dealt with a lot of different people coming in to the Welcome Center. Wow. So my thing is to welcome them and really find out, like, how can I help you? Okay. Or where you going? And that's how I met Randall.
So did he try to encourage you to exchange phone numbers at that day? How did you all start dating?
Oh, no.
Well, tell us about it. I think Randall wants to talk on that.
Well, for 12 years, I've been helping a shelter called Central Care Mission. All right. One day, the pastor told me to put a piece of paper in my wallet on the characteristics, write down the characteristics of what you want in a wife, and pray on it. So I put it in my wallet. 3.5 years went by with that paper in my wallet. And she'd been working at that Holiday Inn for 10 years. So I come in to see the engineer. On the way back out from seeing the engineer, something told me to get out of my car and say something to her. I walked up to Nadine, because I don't bother people when they're working. You know, she's on the job. So I walked up to Nadine. She come out of the Welcome Center. I walked up to her and gave her a hug, and I said, God loves you and wants to help you. That's how we met.
That's how you met.
Now, she was married once before. Was married a few years. Her husband contracted a heart disease, lived 2 years, and died. So for several years, she would just go to church, go back to work, and then on that day, I gave her a hug and told her, God loves you and wants to help you. That's how we met.
Right, but when did the dating start? How did the dating start? When did you approach her as to having a relationship? And had you ever dated African-American women before?
No, ma'am.
Okay, so how did that barrier drop? Were you raised in a home where there was prejudice? I mean, prejudice has been here since the beginning of the world, right? So when I say that in a lot of areas, so how did you get over that? Or were you never one of these people that was prejudiced?
No, ma'am. My mother was raised in Union Springs, Alabama.
Okay.
And her father was a pastor. Mm-hmm. And we grew up with everybody's the same.
Okay. So when you approached her, even though you had never dated an African American woman before, it was not any issue with that? You didn't think twice or 3 or 4 times as to whether you should talk to her? You just went right at her?
Right.
Okay.
Because I felt like when I got out of that car, that's where God was leading me. I found out she was a vegetarian.
Okay.
And I kept bringing her fruit baskets back to the Welcome Center to get to know her and have lunch with her. Showed her what I was doing with my life and getting to know her, going out with her.
Right.
And also William Lowry is a 30-year marriage counselor. Counseled me 5 years before I even got married.
I got you.
So I had some inside help helping me with William Lowry, and there's been some struggles now. Let me tell
me about some of those struggles. Like, did friends turn their back on you? Do you have people that you've lost and family that you've lost in the midst of this relationship?
Well, let me tell you, before we started to get married there at the church, her daughter didn't want us to marry at all.
Your daughter. So is your daughter prejudiced?
No.
I just want to know, what was the deal on that? Why didn't your daughter want you to marry him?
No, because Nadia and I stayed together a very long time. And
so you're saying, did it have anything to do with race? Did it have anything to do with, Mom, are you ready to get in a relationship like this? Do you know all the things that you're going to go through? Is that pretty much what you think she was thinking?
Of course.
Right. So she was there. And so how did you eventually win her over? Because I'm told that even the kids that grow up and even that are biracial go through a lot of issues. I hear they go through more issues than the parents because people seem to think they don't have an identity. So how did you get her to overcome that situation?
She was 18 when this happened.
Okay.
Now she's 28.
All right.
And I just showered her with so much love.
All right. I love that.
Every time we seen her, I always helped her any way I could, and it just began to grow. Now she calls me Papa Bear.
All right, we like that. That's awesome. You know, and that's the thing, and that's what this show is all about, is that it's all about love. Whatever kind of relationship you're in and situation, it doesn't matter what the race. That's why we talk about, we just need to stop hating, because if we begin to see each other for who they are, like you saw Nadine for who she was. When you walked in that hotel, you knew that was the woman for you. So what would you say as we close the show today, in your final words and your final comments, what would you say to folks that are involved in an interracial relationship in regards to stop hating? What would you say?
In one hand, hold love, and the other hand, hold forgiveness. And if you apply these two things in any given situation, you will win.
I like that. Let's look at each other and say we all need to stop hating. Let's say it one more time. We need to stop hate. So on that note, we'll see you at the TOP, because that's where we're all going to be when we stop hating. We're out.
Be motivated and inspired as Pam Powell illustrates the power of the P factors. Start a new and wonderful life with the help of this amazing book. Order your copy of Pam Powell's book, The P Factor, today at www.pampowell.org. Pam Powell is also available for speaking engagements. Visit her website at pampowell.org.